across Fort Worth, all the way from sunny Taipei. Skin the color of a walnut shell, and a baseball cap holding down her black hair. And she came here after midnight. The hot weather made her feel right at home. Come on in. We haven't slept for weeks. Drink some of this. This'll put color in your cheeks. He drove in from Mexicali, no worse for wear, money to burn, time to kill, but 5 minutes looking in his eyes, and we all knew he was broken pretty bad. So we gave him what we had. We cleared a space for him to sleep in, and we'd let the silence, that's our trademark, make its presence felt. Come on in. We haven't slept for weeks. Drink some of this. This'll put color in your cheeks. They came in by the dozens, walking or crawling. Some were bright-eyed, some were dead on their feet. And they came from Zimbabwe, or from Soviet Georgia, East St. Louis, or from Paris, or they lived across the street. But they came, and when they finally made it here, it was the least that we could do to make our welcome clear. So come on in. We haven't slept for weeks. Drink some of this. This'll put color in your cheeks.
Good morning. We're in Church of Hamilton. My name is Margaret McFadden, and I will be your service leader this morning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, you are the people of this congregation, and you are welcome as we worship together. Our mission in this church is to nurture each other, serve the community, and inspire action to heal the world. We are not the first people on this land. We are the beneficiaries of their stewardship, and we seek to work to mitigate the injustices they have and are experiencing. When I was a teenager, I came across an article with a very arresting title, "Between Us and Starvation, 7 Inches of Soil." The author, Ariel Aronson-Eves, would thoroughly agree. In healthy soil, she says, plants and microorganisms have developed a mutual system of exchange, which is destroyed when plants are encouraged to become addicted to chemicals, fertilizers. Reversing this degradation means learning to see crops not as simply products we take out of the land, but as part of a valuable community, and to see soil as more than just dirt. You might even think of it as sacred. We light our chalice as a symbol of our connection to Unitarian Universalism around the world, and to mark our entry into this sacred time as we worship together. This Sunday, let it also be a symbol of the growing awareness among us all of the need for radical worldwide change. Please join me in our unison chalice lighting words. May this flame be our light of friendship and love.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you. Today marks the end of our 2-week Canvas Pledge campaign. Together, resilient, enduring, engaging, solid. Like trees, we have come together to support our church. Some of us standing solid and able to maintain our enduring pledge, some stretching to increase our pledge, and others resilient in dealing with financial change. Although our financial support is important, it is only one of the many ways to engage with the life and work of our church. Thank you for your pledges. Pledges received as of this morning total $206,000. So we're 3/4 of the way to our goal of $280,000 needed to fund our operating budget for 2022. The pledges are represented by leaves on our sanctuary tree, which I will share with you. So bear with me if we have a little glitch. Here we go. There. I hope you can see the tree with the leaves. Wonderful. Okay, so as you can see, there's still some room at the top for some more pledges. So what's next? Oh, just one sec, we'll see. We interrupt this report with an important message. Are you feeling guilty or anxious? Are you unsure what to do? Are you tired of hearing a particular message from a particular group in our church? Would you like some relief? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you might have PRP. Fortunately, PRP can be treated. There is a fast and easy cure, a simple procedure you can perform in the privacy of your own home. If you have PRP, that is pledge response procrastination, you're not alone and help is available. All you have to do is send in your pledge response. That's it. Whether you are able to make a financial pledge or are not, send us your response and cure your case of PRP. It only takes a minute. Get the pledge response off your mind and off your to-do list and give yourself a mental retreat. After you do, you'll feel so tremendous. You just might get up and cheer, root, toot, toot. If you can make a pledge, please do so. But don't go broke. We don't want you to be a weeping willow over it. And now, back to our report. It's not too late to submit your pledge response. Every pledge amount matters and is appreciated. Canvas information is available at the bottom of the church website homepage after you log in with your password, which you do at the top right of the page. Don't worry about this information. It's going to be sent out to you again tomorrow. So you can complete and submit a pledge form through the website as well. Other ways would be through email to Canvas or postal mail to the church or contacting one of the Canvas team members. As I said, don't worry about remembering the information right now. It's going to be sent out again tomorrow, and I will be staying after the service in the main room if anybody has questions or wants information. So the other what next part is our team of Canvas callers will begin making follow-up calls very soon. So you can save them from another condition, CCP, Canvas calling fatigue, by sending in your pledge response, even if you're unable to pledge. So thank you very much. And now I will pass this on to the other co-team leader, Michelle Corbet, who has a few words for you as well. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mary. And thank you for your leadership on this year's Canvas. It's been really wonderful to work with you again. Reflecting, I think it was about 13 years ago when we got to know each other through this Canvas campaign. It's my pleasure to share some testimonials that have been shared both through the Canvas email, but also one that was shared on the Growing in Gratitude padlock. It's really an online bulletin board that Reverend Jamie Boyce has set up. So our first testimonial is from Cindy Carey, our choir director. She remembers taking a religious course in high school. I remember being so confused because so many of the world's religions felt right to me. Thus began a long search for a spiritual home. I don't remember how long I've been a member of Hamilton First, maybe 25 years or so, but I still remember my first time here. I heard truths from many sources. I heard Wordsworth. I heard beautiful music. I looked around and saw fellow searchers. I finally found my place. It's wonderful to be able to come to a place where I am challenged to examine my own heart, my thoughts, my beliefs, and my biases. I want to support the work of this church, the personal work that we do with each other, the work that is done to educate and open the minds of our children, and the work we do in the community. I support this work with my time and my money, and this brings me both satisfaction and joy. From Brad Berquist, when I discovered the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton 35 years ago, I was excited to have found a church whose values and principles closely aligned with my own. During my time as a member, my participation in church life has ebbed and flowed, but I'm always drawn to the strength from my connection to church, and I have always appreciated the important role our church plays in our community, comforting the afflicted and afflicting the comfortable. I've been nurtured over the years by many strong friendships which I've developed here at the church, and it is a pleasure and an honor to associate with so many like-minded individuals. I'm consistently inspired at church to serve our community and take action that helps make the world a better place. In a nutshell, our church makes me a better person and makes the Hamilton region a better community. Pledging to support our church financially is true value for money, and I encourage everyone to make a pledge according to their means if they have not already done so. And my own reflection on why I'm inspired to support and give to the church. I first discovered the First Unitarian Church 20 years ago when I was asking the really big questions in life. I didn't even know that I was really searching for a spiritual home until I walked through the doors of our physical church and began to see my reflection in everything that I read. So I saw that the church cared about the same things that I cared about. The words of our principles resonated very deeply with me. And I first started attending events and concerts. I remember those concerts and speaker events that were protesting the Red Hill Valley Parkway. I got the courage to come to church one Sunday in April 2001, and I heard the words, "Whomever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning, you are welcome in this house of worship." I wept at the beauty and comfort of these words, and I knew I had found my spiritual home. And then I met all of you, the people of this congregation, and my life has been enriched and transformed by the friendships and the work both inside and outside the church in ways that I could not have imagined 20 years ago. I'm grateful to the ancestors for their vision, their work, and their financial support that made our church a reality in this time. And one day I will be an ancestor to this church, and I want it to exist for our children's children's children. And that's why I pledge and support our church. One of the reasons, there's lots of others. And then finally, a very short gratitude on our Growing in Gratitude online bulletin board, and it's anonymous. Hi, Bill. Just wanted to say thank you and to let you know how much I enjoyed this week's contribution, the Victoria era, and all your reflections on our church. Thank you for this Herculean effort. It is such a gift to us, now and into the future of our congregation, and long after we are gone and only memories, notes, and references in a book. I look forward to reading your book. Thank you. And if this has inspired any of you to share your own testimonials, we welcome them at the Canvas email address. We'll put that in the chat. But also, if you haven't checked out this Growing in Gratitude online bulletin board, please do. It's a beautiful place of gratitude. And it's a place where you can also share your gratitude for that which you are grateful. Thank you.
Number 207, Earth was given as a garden. Earth was given as a garden, cradle for humanity, tree of life and tree of knowledge, placed for our discovery. Here was home for all your creatures, born of land and sky and sea, all created in your image, all to live in harmony. Show to us again the garden where all life flows fresh and free. Gently guide your sons and daughters into full maturity. Teach us how to trust each other, how to use for good our power, how to touch the earth with reverence, then once more we'll eat of flower. Bless the earth and all your children, one creation make us whole, interwoven, all connected, planet-wide in inmost soul. Holy Mother, life bestowing, bid our waste and warfare cease. Fill us all with grace overflowing. Teach us how to live in peace.
The United Nations is celebrating its 76th birthday today as it continues to work for world peace and human rights around the world. Our sixth principle underlines the important relationship between Unitarian Universalists and the UN. It is the goal of our world community, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And the kids' version says, we believe in working for a peaceful, fair, and free world. One of the gifts of COVID was the fact that the UU at UN Intergenerational Spring Seminar went live on Zoom, and 8 members of our congregation were able to attend. Over the years, Sandy Lubert, Janet Hillen, and Gail Rappolt have attended in person, but travel and lodging expenses have posed a barrier to wider participation. The seminar is open to individuals aged 14 and up, and each year we are looking for interested youth from our congregation to attend. There are lots of youth-centered activities. Our role as participants is to report back to our congregations. As part of this, Irene Kay and Margaret McFadgen organized a powerful service about the world climate crisis entitled, There is No Planet B. It's the August 15th service, and the link is available on our church website. Today, Linda, Sheila, and I are focusing on aspects of food and climate justice here in Hamilton. So, access to healthy food is a human right? Then why do so many people not enjoy that right? As I prepared for my 5 minutes, I kept seeing the image used to illustrate effective time management. Nod if you recognize the story of placing rocks, pebbles, and sand in a bowl. If you put the rocks in first, you will fit in more of everything else than if you start with the sand and pebbles. Let's make it a social justice model where the rocks represent the building blocks of our society set out by government policies. For example, our graduated tax system, access to health care, and affordable housing. The pebbles are the creative projects and programs people develop to fill in some of the empty spaces. The grains of sand represent all the kind and generous things people do each day to make life better for each other. To me, the biggest stone in our bowl is graduated income tax, where people with a higher income pay more into the public purse, and people with lower incomes pay less, or even receive a slight benefit. What's not to love about a system like that? Yet I've lived long enough to see tax turned into a dirty word. At election time, we hear how political parties will give us tax cuts or no tax hikes, even though we have learned from experience that the rich will benefit from this, excuse me, and the poor will lose out. As we starve the public purse, many of the rocks in our bucket are ground down. What fills the gaps that appear? Pebbles. One of these is food banks, created to protect poor people against hunger. Here, many donations are processed food stored in tins and airtight packages where the vitamin count is low, while fat, salt, and sugar content is high. To quote a food equity promoter, the rich get local and organic, the poor get diabetes. So what's the good news about access to healthier food in Hamilton? Mary Ellen Scanlon is co-chair of Hamilton's Food Advisory Committee and provided a list of some local projects. Here are just a few. New zoning rules that allow urban farming within the city. 60 community gardens and 900 garden plots. Food centers such as McQueston, Urban Farm, and Neighbor to Neighbor that promote food security and literacy in their programs. 3 community fridges that are stocked and maintained by neighborhood volunteers and allow people access to more nutritious food. Still in all, let's protect those rocks. Our children's story today comes from Cameroon in Africa, a place that is dear to the hearts of Lynn Coburn and her mother Elizabeth. And thanks for reading it, Tim.
Our story this morning is called I Am Farmer, and it's subtitled Growing an Environmental Movement in Cameroon. It is written by Baptiste and Miranda Paul, and the illustrations are by Elizabeth Zunyan. This is northwestern Cameroon, green, wet, alive. The rainy season has begun. A young boy arrives at his grandmother's farm. His feet squish between rows of cabbage and beans. His small hands plunge into the dirt. And she, oh, Tanto, his father laughs. His grandmother laughs too. They do not stop him. They understand his joy. Tanto rummages through grandmother's market basket, and a sharp smell fills the air. Onions! He wonders if he can grow them by himself. He sneaks them under a banana tree. Each day, when he checks on his secret garden, the greens have shriveled a bit more. Eventually, the bulbs dry up. Why won't they grow, Macfu? He asks his grandmother. They need sunlight and earth, she says, and most importantly, water. She explains that nature has its own way of working. Tanto wants to learn more. He wants to learn everything. When he begins school, Tanto drinks up facts and figures faster than his teacher can pour them onto the chalkboard. His hand shoots up like a cornstalk. Teacher frowns. Too many questions. Students giggle. What's so interesting about plants and dirt and weather? As a teenager, Tanto is still fascinated by nature. Tanto's father is sick, but he finds a way to buy his son a shovel and other gardening supplies. Tanto uses these tools every day and keeps record books of the seeds he's planted and how long each one takes to grow. He shows his biology teacher, Mr. Ken, his records. His classmates give him a nickname, Farmer. It is not a nice name. It is a name that is meant to make him feel as low as the dirt beneath his feet. But Tanto loves the dirt. He loves the texture of the roots. He loves the smell of dark, wet soil. He loves the corn it can grow and the fufu it provides for his brothers and sisters, especially now that his father is dying. One morning, he makes himself a new school uniform. He puts big letters on the front, Farmer. Tanto wears the shirt to school for the rest of high school. His elder brother shakes his head. Farmers are very poor. His brother urges him to do well on a special upcoming exam so he can provide for the family. If you get good marks, you can work in an office, be a police officer or a teacher. On the day of his exams, Tanto considers his brother's advice. Their father has died, and his brother is now the head of his family. Tanto fills in the correct answers, the ones that will get him a good paying office job. Before he hands in his exams, he wipes off the dust on his desk, dust that reminds him how dry the land can be. His own mother and neighbors walk far to get clean water and struggle to grow enough food. He imagines himself away from them and stuck inside an office. He crosses out his answers and hands in his paper. He signs an F for Farmer. His teacher returns it, F for fail. His days at school are over, so the land in his village of Nakambe becomes his classroom. He spends his days and sometimes nights digging, planting, reading, asking. Even Mr. Ken, who lives nearby, can't answer all Farmer Tanto's questions. As he works, Farmer Tanto meets others who share his love for the land and water. One of the people he meets recognizes how important his love of farming is and provides money to send him to college. Tanto will be able to study the environment and agriculture at a local school. Finally, his classmates and teachers will praise him for talking about the weather, learning about water, and playing with the soil. At college, Farmer Tanto is thirsty to learn everything he can. Although he soaks up plenty of facts and figures, clean water is still scarce. He contracts typhoid from drinking the local water. He is so sick, he worries he may not live long enough to graduate. For 7 years, medical doctors and local healers use their knowledge, medicines, and herbs to make Farmer Tanto feel better. During his recovery, he thinks a lot about his future and the future of his fellow Cameroonians. No one should die from drinking something that is necessary for life, water. After he is better, Farmer Tanto, After he is better, Farmer Tanto gets a chance to continue his studies in the United States. There, he finds out about new ways to save the rain, find clean underground water, and grow gardens and crops without poisoning the soil and wells. Back in Cameroon, Farmer Tanto is eager to use what he has learned. People are still getting sick because they don't have clean water. And when the dry season comes, there is hunger and drought. How can he help his people? Resources are limited. Most villages don't have tractors, motorized tillers, or irrigation systems to bring water to fields. Some don't even have roads. Farmer Tanto creates a motto to help him motivate himself and others. When you don't have what you want, use what you have. Well, he doesn't have much, he does have people. Tanto gathers children and teenagers to join him in the fields. Some laugh at him or shake their heads, but others grab a shovel or hoe. Together, they build botanical gardens and rain gardens that will hold water in the soil. Those areas produce food or flowers all year long and provide green spaces to reconnect people with nature. The mayor of his home village, Nakambe, is impressed. Eventually, the mayor promises to make sure the garden stays beautiful for years to come. By now, everyone in Northwest Cameroon is calling Tanto farmer, and they say it with pride. This is Northwest Cameroon, sometimes wet, sometimes dry, but always very alive. Today, Farmer Tanto does not work alone. A stream of hands works to find fresh, clean water. A trickle of hope runs through many villages, and a crop of young farmers who are proud to be farmers are digging in, planting ideas, and growing a movement. And that's our story for today.
Good morning. The social justice team has begun looking at its work in the context of the social responsibility framework developed by UU and author Richard Gilbert. In the next few minutes, we'll look at what has been happening in climate justice work at First Hamilton, using Gilbert's framework for both our past climate justice activities and for those in more recent times. Next. Gilbert says there are 4 aspects of social justice work. These are not necessarily in order of importance. They are all important, and they are all necessary. Social service is meeting the needs of others directly, such as donating to a charitable organization. For example, our donations of clothing, food, or money to Eva Rothwell. Social education, which can include an element of service, happens when we learn more about a topic. Taking part in a webinar or attending a lecture are examples. Social witness involves taking action such as writing a letter to your member of parliament, or taking an action that shows your commitment to making a change, or taking part in presenting a Sunday service in your church. Action and advocacy is coordinated work along with others for a systemic change. The Vote Housing campaign before the recent election is an example. Let's look at some examples of what has been happening and is happening with climate justice in our congregation in these 4 areas. Take note, there are often overlaps in these 4 aspects in many of our actions, so they can be difficult to categorize. These are only examples, not comprehensive lists of activities. First, looking at social service. From 2006 to 2014, the environment was one of 2 areas of focus in our church. There were many activities that spoke to all 4 areas of the Gilbert framework. I'd like to thank Bill Johnson for sharing his presentation about those years of work for climate and environmental justice. There are too many to list them all. Donating money for tree planting to the Hamilton Naturist Club was one example of social service. This year we began a Grow a Row project, donating our excess garden produce to Neighbor Food Bank and to The Hub, a downtown rest center for unhoused Hamiltonians. Next. Social education. Our church received a Green Sanctuary Award from Environment Hamilton in 2003. Our youth were busy holding fair trade coffee houses and collecting dead batteries, to name just 2 of their activities. Adult religious education programs were held on numerous environmental topics. More recently, the garden team has presented a number of workshops, online seminars, and garden tours about Carolinian gardening and about the installation of a rain garden. This past spring, 8 congregants took part in the annual UU United Nations conference, virtually this time, entitled All In for Climate Justice, Food Equity and Sustainability. We've had recent adult religious education programs about plant-based diets and animal rights. Next. Ours was only the second Unitarian church in Canada to receive a Green Sanctuary Award. Note that there were 17 environmental criteria that had to be met. Next. This slide lists some ways congregants have demonstrated social witness, including upgrades on the church building to reduce energy use, work on the church gardens, a children's garden at Eva Rothwell, and sermons on climate and environment. There have been many very meaningful individual actions taken by our congregants apart from their work of the church. Next. This slide shows our solar panel installation taken from a presentation about our Green Sacred Spaces Award in 2013. Next. Demonstrating a commitment to action and advocacy, a number of congregants took part in a climate change rally in 2009, and again this year, a number attended a climate rally at City Hall prior to the federal election with our church's banner, advocating for climate justice. Next. And finally, it is worth repeating here our church's mission statement in 2012. Our congregation unanimously said, "We commit to participate in focused efforts to promote social, economic, and ecological justice." Thank you.
The meditation this morning is number 484 by William Henry Channing. This will be followed by a time of silence for reflection or prayer, followed by a chant by Cindy Carey. To live content with small means, to seek elegance rather than luxury, and refinement rather than fashion, to be worthy, not respectable, and wealthy, not rich, to study hard, think quietly, talk gently, act frankly, to listen to stars and birds, to babes and sages with an open heart, to bear all cheerfully, do all bravely, await occasions, hurry never, to let the spiritual, unbidden and unconscious, grow up through the common. This is to be my symphony.
I am a soul of love, a heart of peace, a mind of stillness. I am light, I am a soul
Our third speaker is Sheila Van Houston.
Have you ever noticed that when you focus on a single issue, that issue seems to turn up everywhere? Ever since I started examining the issue of food security and sustainability, I've noticed all kinds of coverage on all forms of media. And we've been hearing about supply chain issues, food price increases, pandemic food insecurity in Canada, urban farms, and so much more. And did you know, because I didn't, that October 16th was World Food Day, a day set aside by the United Nations to draw attention to world hunger and to inspire global change. Now, since this is the UN Sunday service, it's important to examine what that international organization has to say about food equity and sustainability. The IPCC has stated that for every degree of global warming, the world's yield of crops like wheat, corn, rice, and soybeans will decline even as the world's population increases by 80 million people annually. The authors of the report don't want people to become paralyzed and fearful, but they do want people to be inspired towards action. Now, these actions take many forms. We can support small-scale and local food producers. We need to shop as much as possible at farmers markets. Also, avoiding overpackaging and the massive amounts of plastic involved in food production. We must improve land use and stop paving over prime farmland. We can work towards the UN's 7-year goal of increasing biodiversity in farming and in city gardens. We need to start an increase, as we're already doing, of planting trees, particularly native species. We can discourage deforestation. We can learn from our Indigenous friends about thinking 7 generations ahead in our decisions around food, planting, and planning. In a recent UN climate change report, the authors have asked us to eat less meat. Cattle farming is emission intensive. The IPCC describes plant-based diets as a major opportunity for the mitigation of climate change. You can start with 1 day a week, for example, meatless Mondays, and increase from there as you are able. Change is tough, but the production and waste associated with food comes up to 14.5% of man-made emissions. So it's important to start with something we can do right here today, but while not forgetting that the use of fossil fuels to power our world is something that's got to be stopped, decreased immediately. Now, although we've mostly led lives sheltered from food shortages, the impacts are now hitting home. The so-called working poor are experiencing negative health impacts from food insecurity. Now, these impacts include psychological problems like depression, but child development is a very, very important issue associated with food insecurity. And child development can be negatively impacted with things like increased hospitalizations, iron and other vitamin deficiencies, increased agitation, and depression in children. Now, I'm so glad, I'm so proud of the members of this congregation who have stepped up to support our Grow Row program, which is helping provide nutritious food for local individuals. And we're helping our neighbors through many programs to be safely housed, clothed, and fed. And I think this is really living out our belief in deeds, not creeds. Let's keep moving forward towards a more equitable and sustainable future for all.
Number 168, One More Step.
One more step. We will take one more step till there is peace for us and everyone. We'll take one more step. One more word. We will say one more word till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word. One more prayer. We will say one more prayer till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer. One more song. We will sing one more song till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song. One more step. We will take one more step till there is peace for us and everyone. We'll take one more step.
As we extinguish our chalice, Duke T. Gray gives us these closing words. The blessing of truth be upon us. The power of love direct us and sustain us. And may the peace of this community preserve our going out and our coming in from this time forth until we meet again.
I'm coming to the edge of the widest canyon, my companions dear. I'm starting to question my manifest destiny, my claim to this frontier. I'm coming to the brink of a great disaster, the end just has to be near. The earth spins faster, whistles right past you, whispers death in your ear. Don't pretend you can't hear. Don't pretend you can't. I can hear your tender still digging for everything that's walked this earth once, living, then to be exhumed and burned to vapor. Can you save her? Now she's in the air, radical and free, neither here nor there. She's obliged to no one. Oh no. fear. Keeping all our eyes on what's on the horizon, and all that we hold dear. I'm coming to the brink of a great disaster. The end just has to be near. The earth spins faster, whistles right past you, whispers death in your ear. Don't pretend you can't hear. Don't pretend you can't. And I can hear your tender still digging for everything that's walked this earth once, living, and then to be exhumed and burned to vapor. Can you save her? Now she's in the air, radical and free, neither here nor there. She's obliged to no one. She's obliged to no one. Oh no. Don't pretend you can't hear. Don't pretend you can't.